What's going on, guys? Connor Wells here, welcome back, and thank you very much for joining me for another video. Hope you're all doing okay. In this video, I'm going to be talking about everything that I have learned about being a photographer, a freelance photographer, a freelance videographer, and podcast producer. So a little bit of backstory. Back in March, I decided to quit my job to pursue a career of being a photographer, videographer, editor, podcast producer, and so far it's gone really well. I've learned a lot. I've had some amazing experiences. I've had some not so amazing experiences, but I thought I'd take the time to share with you a few things that I've learned that might be helpful for you guys as well if you're looking to pursue this kind of career, and how to avoid sort of any mistakes that you could potentially make, some that I've made and probably will not make again because of preparation. I always like and refer back to this little mantra: failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So before you go on a shoot or a recording session, make sure you remember a few of these little tips that I'm going to give you. So tip number one really for me is be on time. One is just polite. And two, you want to get a reputation for being reliable, for being punctual. Say, for example, if someone books me to record their podcast, film their podcast and record the audio from it, and they've booked a studio room between 12 and 1, don't turn up at 12. If someone's booked that time slot and are paying for that studio session and paying for your time, don't turn up at 12, because one, you'll be wasting their time and money, and two, it just looks unprofessional. You want to be there at least an hour before to set up everything. That way, when they turn up at 12 o'clock, the time they start paying for, everything is set up. They don't need to hang about. They just need to get into position and start doing what they want to do. So make sure you turn up to your location of where you're shooting or recording that day an hour before. That way everything is set up. You know, if something does go wrong, if you do leave something at home, you've got that little bit of time to head back, depending on where you live, to pick something up. It's just good practice. Tip number two is bring spares of everything. That means bring spare SD cards, spare batteries, multiple lenses. If you can, if you're in the position, bring a spare camera body. There have been quite a few times when I was just first starting out where I think I would just bring the one SD card. And for me, I hate using an SD card on a project that's already got work or videos, photos from a previous project. I just don't like it. The organization just goes all out of sync. I once turned up to a photo shoot with one SD card and it had about 50 gigabytes worth of footage from a previous recording session, and I quickly ran out of space because I hadn't dumped that footage. So make sure you bring empty spare SD cards. Make sure you bring fully charged batteries. I usually like to bring about 3 or 4 spare batteries with me on a shoot. Make sure you bring spare microphones. I've got 2 of these. These are the Rode Wireless Go's. Highly recommend them. They are great microphones. I bring about 2 of them to a shoot, and a Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, great microphones. I bring my main camera body, which is a Canon M50, and I bring a spare camera body, which is a Canon M50. So that way, again, if anything does go wrong, you've got backups of everything. If an SD card corrupts, you've still got spare SD cards with you to maybe redo the photos that are necessities, if you know what I mean. Tip number 3 is get a deposit. Getting deposits, I think, is absolutely crucial for any form of work you do. That way, there is guarantee you are going to make a little bit of money. If I'm booked for a photo shoot, I'd go to the location, take the photos, edit them, send them over, and then the client refuses to pay. I'm stuffed, really. I have no options, no leverage there. But if I've taken a deposit and the client will refuse to pay, or, you know, hopefully that situation doesn't arise for you. But if you run into some drama, you've still got a deposit and you still sort of have that little leverage over the client. Now, it's not about who's, you know, better or who's worse, you know, client wise. It's just good practice, in my opinion. Tip number 4 for me, this is one that I sort of live for: back up everything. Back up every single thing you've got. When you're doing a photo shoot and you go into post-production or a video shoot and you start getting the footage ready to import and organize onto, I presume, an external hard drive, I'll talk about them in a little bit. Whilst you are transferring your footage, do not delete the footage off of the SD card until 1, it's on the external hard drive, and 2, you have finished the project, you have delivered it to your client. Then you can delete the raw files maybe. I mean, some people like to keep the raw files. I personally like to keep the raw files on an external hard drive, just in case that footage comes in handy at a later date. But do not delete it off of the SD card. until you have finished editing or delivered the product to the client. If your hard drive gets damaged, water damage, corrupts, you have still got the footage on the SD card and you can still deliver the work to the client. If you delete that from your SD card and the hard drive corrupts, you're out of luck. You've not got the footage, there is nothing you can do, and you've wasted your time and the client's time. Do not want that to happen. Now, I spoke earlier about external hard drives. They are great. I use the LaCie rugged hard drives. They are brilliant. I have 3 of them. I have a 4 terabyte, a 2 terabyte, and a 1 terabyte. The 1 terabyte really is my backup. Now, I keep all client work at the moment on the 4 terabyte hard drive, and I keep all my personal work like photos and video projects and series that I'm working on. The 1 terabyte is just a backup, but I also have another hard drive where I keep everything on it, and I keep that off location, not in my studio here and not at my house. I keep that at a separate location just in case this place, God forbid, gets robbed, my house burns down. I still have footage for clients, my own personal use, you know, sentimental stuff, I still have it. Now, my last tip and piece of advice is network. Network with other photographers and videographers and other creatives in your area. It can be very, very beneficial. There is plenty of work to go around. Nobody here in this industry of creatives is your enemy, far from it. If you have a big project and need like a second shooter, you can message someone, ask them for help, ask them for advice if they can help you on the shoot, or if you're not entirely sure how to carry out the shoot for the client and deliver the product. You can talk to other creatives, make friends, and they may be able to help you out. I have somebody that I regularly use for bigger projects like weddings. So if a bride and groom want a videographer and a photographer, I can offer both. I have that little network, I have that circles where either I can do the videos or the photos, or my other colleague can do the videos and the photos, they can edit them. This person is really reliable. I'll leave them in the links in comments below as well. And it's just good to have that little network of people that you can work with. It's very, very beneficial to you and to other creatives. So say if you have a shoot, you're unable to do it, maybe you're ill or God forbid something worse has happened, you can message a creative, another photographer, videographer in your area and ask, look, can you cover the shoot? I can't make it today. It's good to have that little network of friends. I'm part of quite a few Instagram and WhatsApp groups for creatives where we help out our Instagram, and if there's shoots we can or cannot do, we help each other out. So network with all the photographers and videographers in your area. It's very, very beneficial. Right, that was my last tip, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value from it. Let me know any photography tips and videography tips you have learned in your journey of creativeness. It's been a long road for me. I'm starting to find my feet a little bit now and get into like a certain little flow of how I like to do things. It's at the end of the day, it's all a learning curve. So I hope it's successful for you. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.